Mm. Oh, it's time to push the button. Okay. I will admit we are a little bit late today. Are we a little bit late today? It's because we are. These things happen, okay, folks, in the earth, the world that we live in. Sometimes these things happen. Sometimes things have to start later than when they normally get started. So today is one of those days, October 13th, 2025. And we should let this play down in the corner here a little bit. Should let this play down in the corner. The frogs. Somebody put something in the water and it turned the frogs gay. And now they are in opposition to ICE in Portland. The frogs. The frogs are in opposition to ICE, and they are multiplying. They are multiplying rapidly. I'm wondering how many frogs they could get going. This video is from the 9th. So it's been 4 days, 3 days, 4 days since this many frogs is showing up. So we'll see how many frogs eventually show up as they as time progresses. As time progresses, we'll see how many of the frogs show up. Also, unicorns, a shark. I don't know what. Oh, that's a polar bear, a panda bear, some kind of T-Rex of some sort. Yeah, these riot gear clad buffoons are up against. They're up against the frogs and the unicorns. You know. Somebody was asking if you've seen the frog painting. I don't know. I've seen some of the frog stuff. Let's see if we can't find it. Ooh, it's not searchable on Google, I wonder. This is actually pretty funny right here, I have to admit. Oh, there's one thing I forgot to do today on the 13th of October, 2025. I forgot to get into the green room. All right, now I'm in the green room. All right. But one of the first things I wanted to talk about today is somebody out there has to figure out how did we end up on this timeline? I'm going to be honest with you. It's sort of baffling to me how we ended up on this timeline. Of all the timelines that we could have deviated on, this is the one that we've this is the timeline that we've landed on, and I'm not sure what it was that brought us to this point. And I know that a lot of people have sort of summary judgment on the idea that well, because of social media, right? Well, you know, because of social media, because of this, because of that, these are all the reasons, right? I just threw it up on the. Oh, we'll get that painting then real quick. Hold on, we got the painting here. Which is pretty good, I have to admit. That is pretty good. But we realistically ended up on this timeline, and I'm not sure how we got here. And like I was saying, a lot of people have ideas on the, you know, is it because of social media? Is it because of cable news? Is it because of, you know, talk radio? I know that through the 90s and early 2000s, talk radio rotted so many people's brains. You know, like, was it talk radio? Was it the war in Iraq? Was it some people surmised it was Harambe, right? You know, yeah, Michael Savage is a good example. I'm just gonna lump all of the Rush Limbaugh's, Michael Savage, all those idiots into the talk radio group, because it seems to me that every city in the country, every major city in the country had their version of Rush Limbaugh, because unbeknownst to the teens these days, you know, those Rush Limbaugh programs were like 2 or 3 hours long, if I recall, and only like 5 days a week. And I know for a fact that they would repeat them throughout the day at certain times, but they also had a bunch of other guys and gals who would do the same thing for the rest of the 24 hours. And I can tell you from personal experience, when I drove a truck. I don't know if you guys know this. I did some truck driving as a street sweeper for a few years. I wanted to no longer be a chef. One of the big reasons for that was the no long-term financial, beneficial financial horizon, right? And so I spent some years doing street sweeping, And one of the things about street sweeping is that you don't do it during the daytime. That doesn't get done during the daytime hours necessarily. More often than not, you work a graveyard shift. And back in the early 2000s, it was pretty difficult to have music and stuff like that on the go. I don't know if anybody that watches my program here understands that you didn't have an endless playlist on YouTube to just stream through your phone or Spotify. I think back then it was like LimeWire, but you would have to download a bunch of MP3s, which, by the way, was like headline news at the time that people were stealing, right? And they were going to put everyone into prison because of music sharing. I did have a CD book. In fact, I have kept some of my quite large CD books. I think I have probably 500 or 600 or 700 CDs in books, sleeved. And I might be lowballing the number, but I don't know if you guys have ever experienced an industrial truck in your life. They normally don't come with bells and whistles. And back then, an extraordinarily fancy bell and or whistle would be a CD player in a industrial vehicle. That would have been a big deal. And the other big deal regarding that was if you had a CD player in a work truck that you left parked somewhere, you wouldn't have a CD player for very long. Somebody would break in and liberate your CD player. People back then would break into your car and liberate your CD player all the time. And in fact, I had it happen to me once, and some people would say, "Oh, you must have had it happen to you in the big city." Nope. I was in a rural town of about 1,500 people. And some hillbillies down the road broke into all of our trucks, all of our cars and trucks and personal vehicles, and stole all of our stereos out of them. Did not happen in the big city, the big scary, scary city with the frogs, right? It didn't happen in the city. It happened in a rural town. Somebody broke into my truck and all of the other personal vehicles and stole all of our stereos and speakers and shit out of them, and other stuff too, whatever else wasn't nailed down. That being said, if you had a CD Walkman, you could get a tape adapter and put it into a tape deck into a truck, but that would also require an ungodly amount of batteries, because back then, you didn't have anything like USB charging or internal batteries in anything. So you'd always have to have this endless supply of the AAAs or the AA's, depending on what your CD player of choice was, right? Now, the other problem with that is that those CD players themselves, they were big and bulky. They would skip all the time. So you would drive down the road and it would skip, or if you had it in your pocket, it would skip. There was at some point in time, I did get an MP3 player later on. Hold on, I got to set the status in the green room. Hot shits and CD players and donkey has an E in it. Punching squirrels. Wait, how do you spell squirrels? IRELS. There we go. We've set the tone now for the green room, so people know what we're talking about. Oh, Witchy Cat, what's up?
Oh, not much. Listening and working.
listening and twerking. Oh man, that's hot. Fucking
well,
twerking hard up on the mountain.
that would be terrifying.
Gonna lure in some mountain lions.
No, just no. Just, ew. Come on, the visuals here are wrong. Just knock that shit off.
Mountain lions. Anyhow, and so the CD player would get fucked. Basically, is the easy way to explain it. So you'd buy a CD player. You'd have to go to Best Buy or Circuit City, if you don't know Circuit City. Out of business, long since out of business now. If you guys don't know, corporate marauders bought Circuit City, ran it into the ground. It's just like Toys R Us, same story. Red Lobster, the list goes on. Anyhow, they bought. You would go to Circuit City, then you would buy like $125 CD player. If you were smart, one of the things you knew about Circuit City is that they would you could haggle the price. I don't know if you guys know this, but like there are a lot over the years. There were a lot of department stores where you could haggle the price. You could get the manager to come out and you could argue the price down, and they could give you discounts. And I'm not going to name any of the places that you could do that now, but there are places you can still do that. I will tell you. The grocery store is not one of them, by the way, if you're wondering. Which would be fun. It would be fun to haggle the grocery store prices, but alas, not really.
I know about phone.
Dark Lumen says that's a Karen move. Yeah, probably. It's probably a Karen move if you're an asshole about it. The trick when haggling, if you want to haggle some price, you don't act like a Karen. You act like a Ken, and you just be cool, right? You just be cool as shit, and you're like, I don't know, man, $125 seems like a lot. As you mentioned, but I guess it's for the best to cut into the corporate profits. That's right. We should always be aiming our energy towards cutting into corporate profits. All of our energies should be directed at cutting corporate profits. Yes, 100%. Witchy Cat, remind me to talk about the Dow Jones here in a minute before I forget. Back then, when I was driving the truck and whatnot, and doing that kind of horse shit, like I said, you'd run out of batteries, couldn't listen to any CDs anymore. And at one point, what I did was I switched over to having a little pocket radio, and then I would run little headphones, and then I would put the giant ear protection headphone, like when you go to the shooting range and whatnot, and I would wear the ear protection over the headphones, and then I could at least listen to the radio. Now, a lot of my time was spent listening to goofy shit like Art Bell, because I got to admit, like the top 10 radio stations would drive me up the fucking wall. You hear the exact same song every hour on the hour because Britney Spears or Metallica's fucking record label paid off somebody to play the record nonstop. And you would just hear the same shit. So it would drive me nuts. So I would adventure off onto other radio stations. And but Art Bell, just the same as Rush Limbaugh, would only be a couple hours. But it would be at like midnight. I forget what time Coast to Coast was on, but it was like midnight, maybe 11 o'clock. What's that?
It was always really late. He was out of Arizona, I think, and that's what.
Yeah, and I think it was like 11 o'clock our time, so which would make it midnight Arizona time. But then Arizona didn't follow daylight savings anymore, so who the fuck knows? I don't know. Right. But it was late. But it was only like 2 hours long. It wasn't. He was older by this point, so he wasn't doing the all night craziness. Now, there was some late night talk programming that was like entertaining. That was like, okay, this is interesting. I'll listen to this. But occasionally you would end up listening to stuff like Rush Limbaugh-esque. And I will tell you, the essentially like unregulated mountains and mountains of nonsensical, made-up bullshit that would be broadcast onto the AM and FM bands. Typically, the AM band was just pure insanity. I do recall. I don't know if I ever heard this live, but I have heard the recording of Rush Limbaugh reading off a list of people that died from AIDS and celebrating their deaths, right? Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, are the fans of Rush Limbaugh are the people now that claim if you in any way were at least ambivalent to the death of Charlie Kirk, you are an absolute monster. But they would sit there and listen to Rush Limbaugh every day, a guy who would read off a list of people who died of AIDS, right? And just laugh at it. Meanwhile, he was choking down an elephant's dosage of fucking opiates and heroin every fucking day while he was doing it. The hypocrisy is beyond comprehension. The absolute like pearl clutching of these people these days is beyond me. As you mentioned, Rage Against the Machine. Somebody, Dark Lumen said, Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire was in that book. Can we guess some of the CDs? You can guess some of the CDs. I don't believe I own a copy of Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire. I don't think I do. I mean, I know all of their tracks. I mean, I saw them play somewhere. I don't know where, some festival a million years ago. Like, when did that album come out? 1996? So I'm thinking album release. Maybe 93, 92? When did well, actually 92 is when Rage Against the Machine came out. I think Evil Empire was like 96 or something like that. When, let's see. Where are the release dates? Yeah, Rage Against the Machine, which has like Killing in the Name of and everything. That came out in 92. Evil Empire, it was one day after my birthday in 1996. Yeah, so I was right, 96. So when Evil Empire came out, I don't believe I needed to own a copy of it because I heard it wherever I went. I heard it a lot. And in 1996, I was rolling dirty with my buddy Justin in what year was that? 1965? Yep, 1965, four-door Ford Galaxy, a whale of a machine. We used to roll around in that and bump Rage Against the Machine out of it very loudly with an extremely loud stereo. You know? Boys in the Hood style, but listening to fucking Rage Against the Machine.
Liking it.
Alyssa Bentlieu says, people are always trying to haggle at my work. I'm like, bro, this isn't some big corporation. We're hanging on by the skin of our teeth here. Yeah, I wouldn't. I typically wouldn't haggle at a small store unless it was a used item. I would haggle on that. Like buying big used tanks or whatever. That's about the only thing I would ever haggle on. But I don't ever haggle on corporate shit. Like at Alyssa's store, I think I bought a pair of scissors there, some aquascaping scissors. Like I just paid how much they were saying. I don't haggle at places like that. But like Circuit City, you got to think Circuit City was like Best Buy, right? It's just a big ass retailer of electronics. Like, they don't make any of the electronics. They don't make any of the products. Like, what do you think? There's like a fucking elf warehouse in the back where they're like Santa Claus's workshop where they're like making Samsung TVs and putting them out on the floor. Like, they're a middleman. They're just like a straight up middleman. It's like when you go to buy your fucking cocaine and it's cut with a shitload of baby powder from the middleman. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of haggle there because Circuit City, Best Buy, JCPenney, whatever's, right? Like, they're not making any of the shit. They're just the middleman. So you haggle with the middleman. Like, oh no, I cut down on the profits of the guy who bought a share of a stock at some point. Like, who cares? Doesn't matter. But Alyssa knows I don't haggle prices at mom and pop stores. That's just goofy. That's goofy shit. But corporations can eat it, for sure. Speaking of corporations eating it, I don't know if anybody noticed, so we wiped $1.5 trillion out of the Dow Jones on Friday. Did anybody notice that? Did anybody notice that had happened? And it has not recovered. Yeah. And now today what they're going to do is they're going to tell you, oh, look, today the Dow is up 587. Look at it. Mm-hmm. Look, today the Dow is up, but never mind what happened on Friday. The Dow dropped from 46.5 down to 45.5. So it dropped 1,000 points because old Donnie Jerome,
asshole Trump,
brainworm Trump, fucking decided that he was going to start tweeting. He's going to start tweeting about how he was going to continue and escalate his trade war with China, which is super interesting. I had a conversation with a former Marine on Friday, and I was talking with him, and he was going like, "Hey man, what's going on with lumber prices?" Because I had a bunch of used lumber, and he was taking it to go do something with it. I don't know. And he's like, what's going on with the lumber prices? And I was like, well, I mean, it just, whether you like Trump or not, it doesn't matter. The policies that they're passing are making things more expensive for Americans with no benefit. That's also the downside, right? Is like, you could potentially do something that raises prices for Americans if there was a benefit. There is zero light at the end of this tunnel. I want you to understand that. I want you to just fully comprehend that there is zero light at the end of the tunnel of an octogenarian fucking brain-rattled silver spoon bitch boy from fucking New York doing a trade war, unilaterally putting tariffs on all of the world. All this is extracting money from us, the average American. It's just an extraction of wealth from us. And where is the money going to go? Do you think there is going to be a paper trail for where all these tariffs are going? Are they getting direct deposited into Donald Trump's bank account? And by the way, if you were wondering if that was the case, is there anybody in charge of the DOJ, in charge of the FBI, in charge of the CIA, that you would even trust to tell you if that's what was happening or not? Right?
Not even a little.
On Friday, where was it reported? Hold on, I gotta find this. On Friday, Trump said he would hit China with an extra 100% tariff and introduce new export controls after Beijing imposed sweeping curbs on rare earth exports. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ composite notched their worst day since April, which, by the way, phrasing it in a term like the worst day since April, by the way, who the fuck was president in April?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
The same fucking dipshit who's tweeting about this stuff.
What?
And by the way, I think the funniest thing about this is how many times I talk to Trumpers about this shit, these fucking blowhard, ball-sucking fucking Trump fans. They're like, the Dow Jones doesn't mean anything now. Now that's what they say, right? From the president who constantly went up on stage to talk about how the Dow Jones was going up, right? I don't understand it. I don't understand the willful ignorance of American voters. But I also think, like, one of the funnier parts here is I also had a conversation with another fucking weirdo. The Marine wasn't a weirdo. He just was a guy who was going, what the fuck is going on? This is crazy. And, but I had a conversation with a different guy, and he was doing the thing where he says, if you don't like it here, get out. Just leave, right? Which I also would like to, I would like to hit on a few notes here with the people that watch my little fucking bullshit program. If that's your interpretation, where else does that apply in your life, right? Like, there's a leak in the roof. Fuck it, just leave, move out, right? Just move out of your house because there's a leak in the roof. Or the toilet's broken. Just move out. Just move. Move to another house. Or your transmission, the third gear started slipping. So what do? Just throw the car away. Throw the car away. Go get a new car. Go get a new car. The brakes are bad. Go get a new car. Go get a new car at great expense to you and your family, right? Where does it apply? Oh, guys, I've got pneumonia. Okay, I guess I should just kill myself then, right? Like what? Like what are we talking about? Like where does that apply in your life? Oh, the steak isn't cooked enough. Well, I don't know. Throw it in the trash. Get a new one, right? Like this doesn't apply at any other point in your life of the like, hey, something's wrong. Just forget about it, you know. Like it's fucking insane. It's just insane for somebody to say that, right? It's to say that to you, like, oh, I should move, right? Because I have a criticism of your behavior. I should leave the country that I love, right? Like that don't make any fucking sense, right? Oh, somebody robbed the grocery store down the street. You know what we should do? Move to Kazakhstan, I guess. You know, we better move to Kazakhstan because something bad happened. Something we didn't like. Something we didn't like happened. You know what we should do is just move away, right? It's absurd, and it just doesn't apply anywhere in anyone's life. That is anything that you could say to somebody that has any fucking value, right? So I'm finding a level of flabbergasted by that, especially considering that like these are the same people that have complained for the last 10 years that people were getting canceled, that the cancel culture was a thing, right? Which I would always argue it isn't. Like, if you did something stupid and you lost some fans, that's not you're not canceled, right? It's a play on people's TV shows getting canceled, like that terminology, right? That like, oh, you had the Mary Tyler Moore show, and it turns out Mary Tyler Moore is trafficking children to the president of the United States, and they said, hey, we can't have this show anymore. This show is canceled, right? But if you want to go, you know, was Louis C.K. canceled because he was jacking off in front of people? He had to stop doing some work. He's still Louis C.K., and he was able to go to Saudi Arabia and make $1.5 million to go tell dick jokes in front of people that cut the heads off of news reporters. So I don't know when did his career ever actually end, right? I remember Louis C.K. was on one of his stand-up specials, and he was talking about how he lost $40 million because some of the things, some of the projects that he was working on, they got indefinite, you know, they lost some of the other funding and whatnot. And he was like, I lost $40 million. And you're like, okay, you've lost more money than anyone that has ever watched my fucking YouTube channel has ever made in the entirety of their life. You lost it. I don't know. It sounds like a bad investment if you think to put all of the $40 million that you made on the line to do things. Maybe in the future you'll learn to put 30 million on the line and maybe hold back 10 million so that in case of you jack off in front of your coworkers, you only lose the 30 million and still have more money than anybody else around with the 10 million, you know? Like, the thing is, like, I like a lot of Louis C.K.'s comedy. I like a lot of his fucking TV shows and shit like that. His sexual aberration essentially, like, caught up with him. People heard about it, and people got mad about it, right? As D-Rock says, no, you try your best to fix the fucking problem. It's even worse that we know what the problem is and we are trying to do something about it. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that, you know, somebody asked me the other day, it's like, well, what do you need to do about it? What do you need to do about this problem? And I'm going to say from, like, a personal standpoint, one of the things that I'm doing is being vocal about how disgusting America has turned into, right? I know that for decades now, the conservatives in the United States have been pushing this idea that we don't talk about politics, we don't talk about religion, and we don't talk about income, and we don't talk about all of those things. And so when it comes time to talk about those things, people freak out and start acting like little fucking babies, right? They start acting like little tiny fucking throwing a fit, shitting their pants, acting like fucking sociopaths, like telling people to move out of the country because they don't like something that's going on in the country that they were born, raised, paid taxes their entire life, made sacrifices for. My family's made all of the sacrifices for. But I'm supposed to move out because somebody's acting like a cunt, right? Like, get fucked, dude. That's so stupid.
Right.
But one of the many things that I'm doing is being vocal about it so that people understand that when they go, like, that's fucked up, I don't like that, so that people understand there are other people that feel the same way, right?
Yep.
One of the things that corporate America has been doing is silencing people on fucking social media, right? Your coworkers are going to turn you in to whatever fucking manager has been gargling Trump's fucking cum for the last fucking 8-10 years, right? Just fucking whole hog, just sucking on Trump's fucking cock and licking his boots, right? And just eating up every little piece of shit that falls out of this guy's mouth. Like, they're eating the cats and dogs. Do you remember him up on stage during a presidential debate falsely claiming that immigrants are eating people's cats and dogs? Right?
And repeating it multiple times.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying that corporate America, what they've been doing for a long time now, is trying to silence people on social media, right? If you work at Boeing, the last thing that you want to do is ever cast aspersions on the Saudi comedy tour, right? Because the Saudi Arabians buy airplanes from fucking Boeing, right? Or if you work at Amazon, the last thing you want to do is talk shit about Jeff Bezos, because at some point, one of their fucking Palantir-based algorithmic computer programs are going to troll the internet and scrape up your information that fucking employee number 5969432 said Jeff Bezos is a piece of shit at some point, right? on
Right.
on MySpace, right? And so, like I said, one of the things that I'm doing is being vocal about this shit. I know for a fact that I'm making a sacrifice with the YouTube channel of doing live streams to talk about like current events and things that are going on. I know that if I came on here and didn't say cunt or fuck or whatever, I would be more family friendly. So people could go, "Oh, it's like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood for fish tanks," right? Like I could come on and act like that. And I know a lot of fish tank fucking creators that do that shit. And if you talk to them behind the scenes, they sound exactly like I do. They swear, they cuss, they don't believe in your fucking imaginary god. They're pro-choice for all women in all instances. They're against the death penalty. They're for gun, reasonable gun legislation. Blah 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 blah. Right? But then they'll go on their YouTube channel and, "Hey guys, welcome to another Fish Corner," or whatever. Right? Whatever thing that they're doing this month. And I know that I'm taking a big hit on the YouTube thing for doing it. And I knew it at the time because when COVID happened, it was either start talking about ivermectin and shit and acting like fucking Joe Rogan, another brain-rotted fucking dipshit. And in an attempt to vilify science, vilify fact, vilify information, and just get on here and start talking about every conspiratorial thing that I could think of. I could have done that. I could have got on here and talked about the moon landing and been like, obviously Stanley Kubrick filmed a fake moon landing and we all believe it. And right? Never mind the abject complexity of covering up the moon landing, right? Let's not even get into that, but I'm saying I could have done that. Another thing I could have done is could have just been making top 10 best fish for a 100-gallon aquarium, or alligator gar. Should we keep them? Right. I could have done I'm going out to catch and cook videos, right, where I throw a fish, a captive raised fish, and I throw it in a ditch somewhere, and then I air quote catch it, right? A completely non-native where there's no reason it should be in a drainage ditch by any stretch of the imagination. Catch it out of there, and then I cook it, and then everybody could, this guy caught a salmon out of a drainage ditch in Florida, and he cooked it up. And just made stupid thumbnail reacts and post that shit up. I could have done that. I could have done all those things, right? But I made a conscious decision at one point to be like, all right, fuck all of this stupid corporate bullshit, attempting to cover up for other companies' lies or other fucking people's lies or any of this fucking nonsensical lies that are constantly happening. I will make sure that my channel is 18 and over. I will make sure that this YouTube algorithm understands that I am not family friendly. Do not put whatever ads are family friendly that pay more money. I made a decision to do that because I live a life of what I would honestly like to describe as rigorous honesty, where I at all corners, and whether it's going to cause heartache or not, I'm going to give you my honest my honest take on something, right? Did this dinner suck? I didn't like it. It was not for me, right? I don't need to say your food sucks. I don't need to be an asshole to live a life of rigorous honesty. Now, some people will become grouchy. They'll become grouchy at certain points. They'll become like, oh my God, why did he fucking say that? Okay, cool. I can't protect everyone's feelings at all times, but I'm not here to simply hurt people's feelings. But if people's feelings get hurt, I don't know what to tell you. Like, Louis C.K. was one of my favorite fucking comedians, and he probably still is. Did he do some fucked up shit? Yeah. Did he pay some price for it? Yeah. Am I like, tough titties, man? That sounds like you fucking brought that shit on yourself. Also, yeah. And like, maybe he had to learn a $40 million lesson in order to stop jacking off in front of his fucking coworkers. Whether he even recognized that they were coworkers or not, right? Because they're just other comedians. You know what I mean? Maybe he was forced to lose $40 million in order to learn that lesson. Right. And I hold pretty close to myself that I'm not going to change a million people's lives, but I still look at it this way. If you are somebody who has changed one other person's life for ultimately way the better, you're doing fine. You're doing good. If it's a 1-to-1 trade-off of like, I worked really hard and I made one person's life better, that's good. And if it's 10, that's amazing. If it's 20, oh my God, right? You're starting to get into these numbers where it's like, holy shit, that's a big deal. Like you are one person and you made 20 people's lives better. If that's what was happening all around the planet, we'd be traveling in tubes. We'd have replicators make us food like in fucking Star Trek. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't be sitting here wondering if the robots are going to start eating our babies or not. Which currently is a question. It currently is a question if you really, really, really start thinking about it, that the progression that we're on right now is we're not sure what the machines that we're building are actually going to do. And I would say that from the standpoint of listening to the experts that built the actual fucking machines and them saying they don't know what they're going to do. And if you want an example of that, I want you to go look up the Jon Stewart interview from 4 days ago with Geoffrey Hinton. Geoffrey Hinton co-won the 2024 Nobel Prize in Physics for his work on artificial neural networks. He noted with humor in his surprise at the award, given that he is not a physicist. Hinton discussed how AI is developing faster than even he expected. He expressed concern that the recent advancements, such as AI agents that can take actions in the real world, make the technology potentially scarier than before. Now, there's really no point in this interview right here with Geoffrey Hinton, by the way, Nobel Prize winner for his advancements in AI. There's no point does he ever tell you should absolutely be worried or blah, 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 right? Like, he pretty consistently leans on the, you can't really worry about it because you don't know what to expect. So worrying about something that you don't know what to expect is sort of a fruitless worry, right? But he definitely highlights a lot of the past that, like when I say machines that we're building now, I know what immediately pops into people's heads, right? Excavators, dump trucks, manufacturing machines or whatnot. But I want you guys to understand that the AI systems that we are building are machines, right? And we may or may not be running into Skynet fairly soon. And I think it's I don't think it's without merit to say that it could be a lot sooner than really any of us are expecting. The sheer amount that is being dumped into the advancement of these AI machines is really not something that we can even compare. Like, there isn't a comparable out there with the amount of finances behind it, with the amount of physical structures being built. I know that Witchy Cat and I were talking about it a while ago. However many server farms there are now in the U.S., and I think it was like 5,000.
Yeah, it was a crazy number. And they're huge, and they suck up.
Sorry, the data centers. Server farm's not the right way to put it, but there was 5,000 something, and they're huge. They're just huge warehouses sucking up all of the energy. And one of the things that, like, I really want people to, if I was to warn people about something, I want people to understand that, like, we don't really know what's happening in these data centers with these AI machines and what they're manufacturing in there. You know, if half of that building is a data center that's developing an AI and the other side is dedicated to allowing AI to construct whatever it wants to construct, we wouldn't know. This is all happening behind closed doors in private businesses that essentially got public fucking subsidies in order to build these monumental projects, right? And we don't know what's happening behind there. You know, we don't know what's happening behind the closed doors at this point, because we have disassembled, and over the decades now, we've allowed the public sector to be dismantled, right? At the behest, or at the guidance, at the leadership of the fucking goddamn conservative party in the United States. Sorry, the conservative minority in the United States. And I want to point that out. These people are not even the majority of the people in the United States. Okay? They aren't. They factually are not. And it doesn't make you an edgelord to be fucking involved with them. It just makes you gross. And not interesting. You know? This conservative minority has been dismantling the public sector to the point where we don't have a NASA that is sending people to the moon anymore. We have a weather system which they are attempting to put into private hands. So guess what? Imagine a world where you don't have access to a public weather report.
Your weather apps on your phone no longer update unless you pay some large fee.
Yeah, you have to pay for your weather report.
And to know if storms are coming. Like, you know.
I mean, we literally have people super chatting right now. They're paying for this live stream to keep the lights on. Because I'm going to turn the lights off at some point. We're going to broadcast in the dark to save money. We're going to broadcast in the dark to save money.
That's right. The light of the fish tank.
I'll probably turn the fish tank off too. We'll just be in the dark.
Oh, you're going to make a big statement, huh?
It's romantic.
Groping around in the dark, feeling parts. Yes, very romantic.
Probing around in the dark. Skog Shrimp says, I just got here. I don't know what's going on, but I think this version is better of whatever the fuck those videos are. Wickham says, agree. I can't ignore when things going downhill for so many people. www. I think they were going to put in www.ww3.com. Is Trump and company copying Putin, withdrawing 1 to 2 benefits rights a year? 30 years later, you will be Russia 2.0. I would say arguably Ronald Reagan was doing that. Then his little lackey George H.W. Bush was doing that. Clinton came in and did that. George W. 2, Electric Boogaloo. This time it's personal. He did that. Also implemented these big programs like ICE, the Homeland Security, what's the program that spies on everybody? Which one is that one?
NSA.
Oh yeah, the NSA and the Patriot. What was it? The Patriot Act. Yeah. Yeah, we're really close to Russia 2.0 already. We have a hyperinflated market. We are experiencing shrinkflation right now, which means we are going to experience hyperinflation in goods very likely within the next 6 months. Probably, I would say right after Christmas is kind of what I'm vibing right now from the shit that I've looked into. But, could be a couple months after. But we've already ruined our agricultural market so that a lot of those guys are going to go bankrupt, which means that they're going to have to sell out to investment firms, which has been happening for the last 40, 50 years. It's not brand new. They're just exacerbating it and continuing it. It's one of the reasons why I was saying at the time that Project 2025 is no different than what the Republican Party has been trying to do for the last 50 years. It's just a much shorter, more aggressive timeline to getting it all done, because they knew that the Trump administration was going to be so corrupt that there really wouldn't be anybody there to even question what these freaks like Stephen Miller are doing. I got a piece of wood stuck in my hand, and I was wondering why it was hurting. I'm realizing that I had a big splinter right here that the skin grew over it. So we will do some minor surgery while streaming because I'm going to cut it out. What'd you do?
My favorite. Can I tell you my favorite current funny right now?
Yeah.
Which is the satirical lineup for the Turning Point USA halftime show that the far right is all freaking out over and saying is going to be the perfect show. And it's a joke. It's not actually the lineup, but they all think it is. They're posting it all over
the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yes, they're posting it all over social media that Kid Rock is headlining the Turning Point USA variant with Ted Nugent.
And it's like Jason Aldean and all these people.
It's not real.
Right.
It's satire, but they're believing it. They're out there saying, we got our show. Screw you. This is fantastic. And they're biting on it hand over fist.
I mean, the reality is that, it's probably something stupid like that is going to happen. Because I know that the Charlie Kirk's fucking shit business, the Turning Point USA fucks, they're gonna run they're gonna run a competing halftime show to boycott Bad Bunny.
But it's supposed to be a symbol of faith, blah, blah, blah. So Kid Rock immediately out. Ted Nugent, and on the questionable side.
They'll all play there. These people are hypocrites, man. They don't care.
I know.
They were shooting fireworks on the stage when the widow of Charlie Kirk came onto stage. They did fireworks.
It just makes me laugh that I have people coming to me saying, ha ha, look, our show's going to be so much better, and then just being crushed when I tell them, that's not real, right?
I want you guys all to understand something. Like, the halftime show, it's not even for me. It's not. frankly,
Right.
I don't give a fuck who plays the halftime show. I don't care.
Right.
I can't tell you how much I don't care. I do not give a fuck. And by the way,
I don't think I've
I'll be honest with you. If there was no halftime show, I'm all for
even
it.
better.
I'm all for it.
If-
You want to give us a standard? You want to give us a standard fucking what is it? 20-minute halftime, where the boys can go in and they can have their orange slices. You know,
get yelled at. from the
they could
coaches.
get their orange slices. They, by the way, the NFL, they do not do yelling at anybody. They don't. That's a huge
Fair
myth.
enough.
It's a huge movie thing, right? That like, and by the way, for some reason in the football movies where they go in there and the coach yells at them, for some reason, the locker room is dark. It's like poorly lit.
Yeah, it's always
There's smoke hanging in the air, which I'm like, you want your athletes taking a break in a smoky, dark
it's
room?
awesome.
Like, no, they go in and they retape their feet. They put ice on their back or whatever. They put talc on their fucking jock strap. They put a bunch of cornstarch on their jock strap because it's chafing like a motherfucker. They adjust their pads. They drink an energy drink or whatever their version of that is. They take a shit or go to the bathroom, right? Like, do you expect like the coach of guys making millions and millions of dollars a year to be lambasting people in the middle of a game when the dude's got to go take a piss, right? Or he's going to pee his pants. Pee his football pants, because all you've been doing is running and drinking water and shit for the last hour and a half.
You've
What do
drunk
you
half of
expect the human body to need to do? Right. Not to mention the countless times that NFL players have actually shit their pants while playing, right? Like you could go look that up if you really, really want to. There's a million.
I'm good.
It's a bloopers reel, you know, or how many football players throw up on the field while playing. You can go look that up too. There is no shouting at them in the halftime. But anyhow, my point for all of this was, if there was no halftime show, awesome. If there was no, if we could go back to how football used to be when there was no bullshit national anthem or flag unfurling ceremony at the beginning, which, by the way, never existed until 2002 or 2005, I think. They did not do the national anthem at football. They didn't sing it at the beginning. That is a new thing.
It seems
is
like
a
it's
new
happened all.
It is a new
Never
introduction.
mentioned.
It's a new introduction, by the way, that is paid for by the U.S. military, a.k.a. your tax dollars. Your tax dollars are being spent on doing that military rah-rah bullshit before a football game. That is our tax money at work. I hope you understand that. Our tax money is paying the color guard to go out there and march around with the little flags. And then we pay the jets also to fly over. But also we pay the NFL the right to do it. It is a government program that pays the NFL, that pays a private company for us to go out and do military propaganda before a football game. And for these fucking dipshit boomers and Gen X freaks who I've had the conversation with, that they say, no, we've always been doing that. I'm like, either you're not an actual football fan, or you have fucking RFK brainworms, maybe.
Mandela.
The rewriting of history for these people is beyond me. And you know what? Maybe they are taking Oxycontin every day and probably washing it down with 5 or 10 drinks every night. And maybe that's why they can't remember watching a football game when they were 25. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Right? I don't know. But if they could get rid of that shit, 2 thumbs up. If you could start the broadcast and Jim Nantz and Troy Aikman could be like, hey, we're really excited to bring you the New York Buffalo Football Bills versus the New York Football Giants. And here they are. And the quarterback is fucking Steve and John, and that's who they are, and this guy, and blah, blah, blah. And then, oh, here we go, about ready for the kickoff. If you could do that, fucking, I'll give you money. I'll give you money for that. If our tax dollars could go towards that, where we just start playing the game, I would be into it. Or maybe they just play 5 minutes of commercials. You know, you got to do the built for tough. Oh my God! And drink the champagne of beers. And if you're having heart palpitations, I feel bad for you, son. Take these pills, but talk to your doctor first, right? Like if you could just do that, and then it'd be like, and now it's time for foosballs. Here we go. Then I'd be into it. I would be like, yeah, put our tax money towards that. The Super Bowl being a 6 or 7 hour fucking fiasco makes my eyes hurt. It makes me feel bad. It makes me not interested. It makes me very less interested. It is difficult to watch the pacing of the Super Bowl, I have to tell you.
I have a hard enough time watching football by myself. It's rare that I do it anymore because it's no fun for me, in my mind, to sit and watch by myself. So, you know, occasionally I'll catch a game. I caught that Thursday night Seahawks game. But I can't imagine these people that build a whole day around getting together and eating and watching football and on Super Bowl Sunday. Like, okay, it makes sense on Thanksgiving. You're all getting together anyway.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk to Uncle Jimmy about politics tonight.
Right.
Football it is. But
you know what's weird is, actually, to totally sidebar what you were saying.
Go for it. Because
I was reading the chat here, and Mickham was saying that Skoggs has a very Swedish name, and Skoggs was saying my Farmore and Farfar came over on a boat the late 50s. It visited there about 15 years ago for a couple of weeks. And the thing is that, like, in my head, I started thinking, well, yeah, I mean, if the Skoggs and my family and we were able to move to Sweden, like, maybe we would do that. But it wouldn't necessarily be to escape the United States, first and foremost. It would be like, I know that the day-to-day living in Sweden is better. So it would just be an upgrade. You know what I mean? And so I would just take the upgrade. But if my neighbor's acting like a fucking dickbag, the last thing I'm going to do is move just because he's acting like a dickbag, right? Like, that's just goofy nonsense. And to tie that in with the Super Bowl, okay, I watched the God damn it, I don't know which cup it was because the soccer leagues in Europe are super confusing, but I watched the replay of España versus Portugal in whatever championship today while I was at the barbershop. And it was like sped up, you know, it didn't watch the full 90 minutes or anything. It was like sped up. But then I was like, shit, you know what? We need our football to go at this pacing. This pacing makes a lot more sense. You know, where it's like each half is 45 minutes. It's a total of 90 minutes. And it even went into overtime and it went into a shootout. And you know, it still was only 2.5 hours long. Whereas our Super Bowl turns into a 6-7 hour fucking commercial fest. And I don't like it. Although, I will say, I did watch the Seattle football Seahawks yesterday versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Jacksonville versus Seattle. Whew, that is one of the I have to admit, that was one of the more boring games I've ever watched. I mean, it was like we did end up winning, but we just won in the most like humdrum way. I mean, it was 60 minutes of like, all right, we're just a little bit better than they are. Like, okay, all right. Did something crazy happen? Was it like blocked kicks, intercept? There were 0 turnovers in that game. There were no fumbles. There was no interceptions. There was no blocked kicks run back or a punt return for a touchdown or anything. I mean, it was literally, it was just like, yeah, well, we're here to play football today. Okay. So we're going to play some football and, oh, there we go. All done with the game and see you guys later. I mean, like we literally got the ball with, we got the ball back with 2 minutes. Oh no. We got the ball back with like 6 minutes on the clock. They drove down the field slowly but surely, got down there, stalled, but we were already up by 8. So they're like, well, let's go kick the field goal. Then we'll be up by 11. And then these clowns will need 2 touchdowns, to even potentially, or well, they'll need a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and a field goal to tie it, right? And you're like, ain't nobody fucking doing that. It's not happening. So you're like, well, just kick the field goal. Well, they lined up offsides. When we went to kick the field goal with a couple minutes left on the clock, they lined up offsides, and it was 4th and 4 when we went to go kick the field goal. So they kicked the field goal, but they threw the flag. He made the field goal, and then they were like, wait, what happened? There's a flag? Okay, hold on a second. Offsides, defense. Oh, wait a minute. It's a 5-yard penalty on 4th and 4. I don't know if anybody out there is a fucking football genius, but that means that you got a first down. So they took the 3 points off the clock, which meant that we were up by 8. And Jacksonville didn't have any timeouts left. So Seattle's like, oh, we'll just kneel this out 4 times.
Wow. Okay.
They didn't even kick the field. It's like, well, that's the end of the game. Just watch the clock tick down, guys. And then, oh, here we go. Hike the ball and take a knee. Okay. Yeah. So it was, like I said, it was probably one of the chillest Seahawks games I've watched in a really, really, really long time. I didn't get your comment on untaxed corporations getting tax dollars, meaning you meant a media corporation in the U.S. When is this? Seattle versus Jacksonville? Football. United States football. And I can go look this up real quick. I've looked it up before. What's the name of it? What's the anthem?
National anthem?
Yeah.
Isn't it just the national anthem? I know it has a name. I don't remember what it is. The 1918 World Series, apparently.
Well, yeah, because baseball is the national pastime.
Well, AI thinks that it's been going in the NFL since that time, but AI is stupid, as we know.
Yeah, I know.
All these data centers, and it can't get fucking history right.
Well, the problem is that like with the AI, they're reprogramming it.
Right.
And like one of the reasons that I brought up the Fruit of the Loom cornucopia thing is
Star
that
Spangled Banner.
what?
Star Spangled Banner. Name of the national anthem. Cornucopia.
Well, one of the reasons I bring up the cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom is that we all know that there was a cornucopia, and people have like examples of the clothing from history
With it.
that they still own with the cornucopia on it. And one of the reasons that I kind of bring this up is a lot of the AI programs they're consistently reprogramming them over and over and over again and tweaking with them over and over again, as has been highlighted on multiple occasions when Elon Musk would ask Grok stuff, right? And then Grok would be like, no, you're wrong. It's this, right? And so they go back in and they start reprogramming the AI to then make Elon Musk right. And more of this is happening. And you really have to ask yourself, like, why are they building the Sora 2 program, right? Like, why are they building all these programs? And it's like, because they can literally start rewriting history as far as the internet's concerned. Yeah, here it is. In 2015, a Senate report released by Senators John McCain and Jeff Flake poured cold water on some of the more heartwarming moments of patriotism seen in professional sports. The report found the Department of Defense had spent $6.8 million on what they called paid patriotism between 2012 and 2015. This money was spread out among 50 pro teams from the NFL, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, and others. In exchange for the money, teams organized displays of national pride, including flag presentations, the honoring of military members, re-enlistment ceremonies, and even the most unassailable and uplifting of patriot moments, surprise military homecomings. To be clear, plenty of teams also do and have done such things with no compensation. But the connection between patriotism and players being mandated to be present for the anthem is tenuous. The report does mention several instances where teams were paid for the anthem performances, but that was about the specific artist or presentation. In fact, Pentagon spokesman Army Major Dave Eastburn recently clarified the Defense Department's current relationship with professional sports. The DoD does not require or request that athletes be on the field during the playing of the national anthem when military members are part of the patriotic opener, he said in a statement to CNN. Community relations participation such as flyovers, color guards, and military band support are supposedly unpaid activities, which you're like, then why do you do them? DoD does not pay outside parties to host such community outreach activities. So nobody gets paid. The pilots, the soldiers, everybody cooperating, the FAA doing a flyover, all of the companies that are affected by you flying jets over known air traffic areas. None of that. No one ever gets compensated. Right. How's your week going? Uh-oh, did we drop off? Witchy cat. Oh, she might have muted me. Did I mute myself? What happened? I don't know. I guess we're here by myself now. Okay. My speaking out is done on the internet. I run a bunch of prepper post groups on Signal, created, maintain, and curate resource library to help prepare for the worst, educate on history, etc., civil rights, and battle misinformation. Last week, I often watch the NFL playoff or follow it. You've done your part, so to speak, until trolls and maniacs arrived. Not a ton of trolls on Signal, and I ride the website pretty hard. When you have the computer at your fingertips, it's pretty easy. And it's a daily task. Yeah, I mean, I will admit, it is a daily task. That's for sure.
I don't know what happened, but I read.
Mickham or tax dollars pays for the U.S. government. U.S. government pays like $1 million a game to do the national anthem at every game, and God knows how much at the Super Bowl. The NFL tax is a tax-free corporation. Yeah. I believe the NFL is somehow like a charity corporation or something, or they're tax exempt for some reason. Over here, many older people with old phones are worried to be left out of the telecom systems. Government is shutting down 2 or 3G in a way you must have the latest updated application to have an okay phone. That is bothersome, like, in a way. I would admit it's bothersome in a way. I would almost guarantee that Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium. I mean, I would almost think any country in the EU is likely going to implement some kind of program for the people that are shut out by removing the maintenance cost of maintaining all of the cell phone bandwidths, right? I mean, you got to think. Was there a 1G? Witchy Cat, you remember if there was a 1G? I think there was.
Officially, it just went to 2G automatically from whatever initial cell was. That happened when I was back at US West Cellular.
Nope. Yep. There was a 1G network.
Really?
Which existed as the first generation of analog mobile phone service, which it launched in Japan, and check this out, 1979. And later in the States in 1983. These early networks for analog supported only voice calls and were known for bulky phones and poor security.
Right.
The first 1G network was launched by Nippon Telegraph and Telephone in Tokyo, 1979. By 1984, it was available nationwide in Japan. Ameritech launched the first 1G network in the U.S. on March 6, 1983. So it was 1G, and then in all of our minds, it's like, oh, they introduced 2G. Okay. So there was 1G, and they don't do that anymore. Right? So my reason for asking that relies on the, well, wait a minute. Are we maintaining the 1G also? Doesn't seem like we are. We're not maintaining the 1G, and you got to think, like, if you're going to maintain all the networks, at some point in time, you do have to go, well, how much does this cost if we're maintaining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and whatever the next Virgin, whatever the next, like a Virgin, Madonna style, is going to be mobile network. You got to think, are we going to maintain that one also? And at some point, you're going to have to go like, well, which one do we cut out? And I think you cut from the bottom. I think. technologically speaking. You go like, well, let's cut the oldest one out. So I'm not surprised, and I'm also not surprised that in a country like Sweden, right? It's like you guys have your telecom being supported by the government, whereas ours here is just they just give subsidies to private companies, and then the private companies just pocket all the money, right? Which is to circle back to an earlier conversation that like conservatives for 5 decades now have been saying like how inefficient the government is, right? And it's like the government isn't inefficient because the government itself is inefficient. It's because we keep forcing them to utilize private contractors, right? They don't have any direct control over half of, if not more than half, of the projects that they do. And I've always highlighted the United States Postal Service as an example of if you think that the United States government is so wildly inefficient and ineffective, then just use private shipping for all of your shipping needs and redirect all of your mail through FedEx or UPS or whatever. Have all of your mail set through private entities and find out exactly how much it really does cost you. And I think you'll be shocked. And I also know some companies that decided to switch from the United States Postal Service to UPS and or FedEx. And after months and months of utilizing a shittier service, they realized that their bill had gone up quite extensively with worse service, right? But, you know, those private companies, they're going to glad hand you a lot and tell you how much the value is, which is absurd.
Yep.
So I think, you know, like as Mickham brings up a pretty specific sort of issue that you're having in your country right now, which I have to tell you, when you compare apples to apples, right, you'd be like, what are the problems in Sweden right now? And it's like the biggest story is some old folks with really old flip phones are very discouraged at the fact that their old network is no longer going to be maintained and they might have to buy a new cell phone. Compared to we have masked Gestapo stomping around in the streets, tear gassing people, attacking people on the streets, grabbing people out of cars. They shot some people.
Threatened ambulances after they shoot people.
Yeah, I think they threatened an ambulance. I'm not sure about that one.
Yep, it happened yesterday, day before in Portland. They show up to pick the dog.
I'm saying I don't know.
Oh, I'll link the story.
I'm saying we could look into it. I'm saying we could look into it if we need to. I'm saying I don't know. I'm saying I saw one side of the thing, and I find it difficult that like it wasn't a video of like, so nobody videotaped any of this. So I'm gonna look into it more, and then I'll probably share some shit about it. But that's one I haven't looked into yet. You know, I did spend a little bit of time perusing the conspiracies about Charlie Kirk's murder, and boy howdy, they are running deep. They are running deep at this point. And I would say like the biggest piece of evidence that they are, the two biggest pieces of evidence that the three biggest pieces of evidence pointing to like it probably wasn't even this kid. The four pieces of evidence
It's growing.
would be number one. I don't know anybody who shot something with a 30-06. That does not seem to be the weapon that was used to shoot him. From all of the videos that are out, 30-06 is It's not the highest caliber rifle, but it is a strong caliber. And it will shoot through an elk. And for any human out there that thinks you're equivalent strength to an elk and you have the same bones as an elk, first off, you're wrong. Second, go fight an elk sometime and then tell me how matched you are to an elk. The second part is they never did an autopsy, which is Utah state law and requirement that they have to do an autopsy in a felony murder homicide or a homicide situation. You have to do an autopsy, and apparently they didn't do one, which is crazy. The fact that they're claiming that the kid broke down the gun, climbed up, put the gun back together, broke the gun down again, climbed down, went out into the woods, put the gun back together again, and hid it in the woods, assembled. Which is crazy. I mean, if you had the gun taken apart, at least hide it in multiple spots so it's hard to find the whole thing. I don't know, whatever. On top of that, apparently the text chain has turned out to not be real. I believe some people have found that whole text exchange thing was completely fabricated. Amongst a bunch of other evidence too that doesn't seem to be pointing towards that kid. Also, there was a big narrative around like that the kid turned himself in, and I think the kid turning himself in has not been true. I believe he like encountered a police officer that was like, "You're being like, there's a manhunt for you right now. You should come in."
Yeah, dad. Which is what they're all saying. Or we're all saying that his dad was the one who convinced him. It was actually an officer who said, they're going to kill you unless you turn yourself in.
Right. So it's like, so I don't even know, like, that's a lot of things that are pretty rapidly off. And it's not even JFK style, like magic bullet theory. It's like a human body was hit with a caliber bullet that it makes no sense that it would just hit him and be fine. Like that, I mean, if it was a 30-06 and it shot him, it should have blown a hole right through him. I mean, it blows a hole through a fucking deer. You know, I was actually talking to my uncle the other day, and he's like, that's fucking crazy, because he's killed, like, what, 4 or 5 bear with the 30-06. And if you think you're equivalent to a bear, I have no sympathy for your stupidity if you think as a human that you're the equivalent of a fucking 1,500-pound bear. Did we look this up before? We looked this up before. How big do bears get? I can't forget.
I don't think
Coastal bear size. We looked this up a while ago. 900 and 1,400, so I was off by 100 pounds. So 1,400 at the top side. All right, 1,000-pound bear. We'll try to stay remembering that they're 1,000 pounds, not 1,500 pounds. Full-grown cow weight. But here's the weird thing: cows would get up to 1,800 pounds, and a bear would fuck a cow up, no problem. I've seen that.
Yep.
I've seen a video of a bear take a cow down. They jump on its back and just claw the fuck out of it until it gives up. Which is wild.
Not at all pretty to look at, that's for sure.
I mean, it depends on what you think is pretty. Is it Louis C.K. jacking off while he's staring at you, or nature doing nature? Right?
Goober.
At least
my God.
I'm just saying, at least there's no jacking off involved. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Okay.
Well, which one do you think is more gross?
Well, Louis C.K. is at least over faster. Little
Is
less
it?
blood.
I'm saying that the bear took that cow down, like, I would say top side was a minute.
All right.
It was fast, is what I'm saying. Like it, the cow didn't last long. It didn't have much defenses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like its best defense was mooing and trying to move around. You know,
Right.
You got a 1,000-pound grizzly on your back. You know,
Doing and moving around isn't going to really work. Yeah. Poor Louis.
do you share videos on YouTube? Can you put a link to your channel in the chat so I could join, subscribe? That's Alyssa's channel. Go check it out. She's got some cool basement videos, all up in her fishy basement.
Wow.
You gotta be a fish nerd though. You gotta be into it.
If euphemisms go, that's kind of gross. All right.
What?
Sorry.
What happened?
Just said as euphemisms go, that's a good one.
Oh, the basement video?
So fishy basement.
Fishy basement. Fishy basement. You're gonna be in it. You're gonna be in it. Is it your second account or changed name? I don't know. Recently, YouTube started displaying people's names as the @ symbol name version of your names. I don't know if you've noticed that with all of the names in here. I don't know why. I think it has more to do with like people being able to like
Identify each other.
Yeah. So if I do an @Mickham, ahoy there, mate. Yeah, I've never spelled out matey before. That it would only be an @ directed at your specific @ all around. So you wouldn't actually accidentally get pinged with whatever copy, not copy, but whatever's like close to your screen name. Like if you chose Lucifer 69, right? Or if you're like Lucifer, or if you were like Dr. Acula 6.9, right? Because you want the period in between the 69, right? Uh-oh, we got a problem with the school. The bus route is running. Oh, okay. The bus route is back. The bus route is back on.
Game on, man.
I was trying to figure out like why the school was messaging me, and it turned out because the bus route is back on.
They are returning your child after all. We guess we'll let you have her.
Hold on a second. What the hell is going on here with this? Meeting. What's this meeting time at? I don't know. I guess vote? I don't know. People post polls for like a meeting, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means because you didn't put in a standard time. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I do.
You know what I mean when people are like, we could have a meeting in a couple hours. You're like, when is that? Like, give a time. Like, give a specific time. But they don't want to. Mangala, a celebration of men? What?
Oh, Alyssa's name. Mangala 666.
Oh, like a man gala.
Yes.
I think the Trump admin hosts one of those pretty regularly. That's why they're building the ballroom for the man gala.
Man Gala. Come to the Man Gala. Peg Seth needs it.
Welcome to the man gala. Population your butt.
Invite Patel so that somebody can stand on the wall and look out of place.
The Man Gala?
Yes.
Are you going to go to the Man Gala?
No. Good God. Dear Lord, no.
Why aren't you going to
But
go to
I
the
bet-
Man Gala?
I bet Christy Nome is.
I bet. Well, I don't know if I should say it, but you know. I bet
You
she's already
she
having
would.
one.
All kinds of Man Gala.
She's all up in the Man Gala. That's her main thing, right?
Her and Beaufort. Yes.
Bobert?
Bobert, whatever her name
She's
is.
jacking off people at fucking whatever.
That's how Kid Rock got his notoriety. I'm not sure which of the two is being or was being uplifted by celebrity when they were dating each other. Was she dating down or was he dating up? Or was it just a lateral move for both? It's a tough call.
I don't know. It's the problem is, like, it's really hard to say what exactly these people are up to, because I had somebody recently that was like, they were trying to use Marjorie Taylor Greene as an example of, like, absolutely reasonable behavior in the face of all of the disgusting shit that's going on with his administration. And I'm like, just because she suddenly, there's just one thing that she's mad about, and you're like, because they were saying that she's going to run as a Democrat, right? To prove that that MAGA's not unreasonable or whatever. And I'm like, I don't understand what this chaotic thinking is that like what? Like, okay, so what you're trying to tell me is that Marjorie Taylor Greene got it together on one specific political item, and then now all of a sudden we just absolve her of all of the other completely unhinged, insane things that she has been up to over the past, what, 5, 6, 7 years now? I mean, even just from a standpoint of, like, how much they're consistently trying to rewrite January 6th. I mean, Donald Trump this weekend claimed that Joe Biden's FBI planted agents in the January 6th crowd. Now, first and foremost, if you've been saying for the last 4 years that it was simply a tour of the Capitol, that nobody was violent, that nobody that they were just escorted around by the police, which, by the way, has been the cucked fucking Republican talking point, that it was nonviolent. They just got escorted in by the police and all this, like, fucking nonsense. Okay, if that's what you've been saying for all this time, how is it even applicable or even important that supposedly Joe Biden, who wasn't the president at the time, sent in FBI agents, right? Like,
right.
How they've been saying for years now that it was nonviolent, that it wasn't even, that it was just a tour of the Capitol. I mean, how many times have you heard that?
Right. A bazillion times at this stage.
That, like, oh, it was just a tour of the Capitol. Like, the cops just let him in and they just walked around and they didn't do anything bad. And the only person that died was one of the protesters, right? What's her name? The Hobbit, whatever her name was. Of course, my computer just ran out of memory. And so the narrative has been, oh, this whole thing was nonviolent, blah, blah, blah. And yet, now all of a sudden, Joe Biden sent in FBI agents, right? Like, but I'm like, how could it have been nonviolent? And then, like, it was nonviolent, but then now everything that was bad was because Joe Biden sent in.
It's all Biden's fault, yes.
Right.
Long before he was even able to.
Like he wasn't even president at the time.
Yep. And the FBI director wasn't his appointee.
Yeah, it was Adam
was
Ray, who was fucking Donald Trump's appointee, you know? Which also leads to a problem of like, or was it Adam? Or no, Christopher Ray. Not Adam Ray. Adam Ray's a comedian. But the head of the FBI. So Donald Trump was president when January 6th happened. The head of the FBI was Donald Trump's fucking appointee. Like I literally heard somebody that was posting about how everyone knows that Christopher Wray was anti-Trump. And you're like, what? He was anti-Trump. He was appointed by Donald Trump. And by the way, if Donald Trump is such a fucking super stable genius or whatever, why would he appoint a guy who was anti-Trump?
Right.
To the head of the FBI, like one of the most powerful fucking forces in the world, right? The United States FBI? You just put in an anti-Trump guy in there? Yeah, and the whole thing is just makes no sense to me. Like, I mean, DJT is a professional waffler, a waffler with intent to hurt America. Yeah, I mean I mean, one of the things that I've been trying to explain to people is like he has zero patriotism. Like first and foremost, like he only has interest in enriching and empowering himself. Like, and it's one of the reasons why, like, when Kash Patel and Dan Bongino would go on their bullshit podcasts and talk about how they needed to release the Epstein files, and if Donald Trump became president, the first thing that they were going to do was release the Epstein files. Those guys are currently in abject positions of power right now as the head of the FBI and the deputy head of, or what is he, the deputy director of the FBI?
Right.
They could release the Epstein files. I never criticized them. To the extent of my knowledge, I never criticized them for that. Because I was like, yeah, all right. Release the Epstein files. A fucking broken clock is right twice a day, right? Like, okay, cool. Release the Epstein files. And then people will be like, I bet you Bill Clinton's in there. And I'm like, I don't fucking care. If he burns in hell or or goes to prison for the rest of his life for fucking molesting children, I don't care. I am not. I have never owned a Bill Clinton hat, pin, bumper sticker, flag. Imagine owning a flag of a president. What? I mean, I could at least understand if you had like an Abraham Lincoln flag, which I don't even think that there is one. I could understand if you had like an FDR flag, if there even is one. I don't believe that there is. I could understand you have some patriotic crap. I have an American flag that's hanging outside my house right now as we speak. But to own a president, like a MAGA flag, like, ugh, like, what? And to spend your money on it, right? You spent your money on something while that guy drives us into hyperinflation. You're going to actually have less ability to deal with the fucking inflation. You spent your money on ridiculous hats and shirts and fucking flags. When you cried, they cried so hard about the price of eggs. You remember that? Remember all the fucking TikTok videos about people crying about the price of eggs, literally in tears, because eggs cost what, $7 a dozen or something?
Yep.
It's like, I don't know, maybe take some money out of your fucking buying MAGA Bible budget, right? Like, why don't you take some money out of that to cover your fucking egg needs? I don't know. Maybe I'm the crazy one here, right? Oh, by the way, speaking of egg buying needs, should we find an egg vibrator? We should find an egg vibrator. Egg vibrator. There's got to be one. That has to exist. What's that?
I cannot buy a dozen eggs or any eggs at all through my grocery store's website.
You can't buy eggs? Why not?
They don't have them listed at all.
There's got to be an egg vibrator around here, right?
Oh no, not the vibrator. I'm talking about actual eggs.
I know.
At my grocery store.
I know, and I'm commenting on me trying to find an egg vibrator. Yeah. Oh, here we go. I found one. It took a minute. It took a minute, my guy. I'm sorry. Hold on. I have to get the link for you before I do the thing. Okay. Hey, if you guys are going to buy anything off of Amazon, consider buying an egg vibrator. Maybe your egg budget is still strong enough. Maybe your egg budget stacks is still thick enough, and you could buy yourself an egg vibrator off of Amazon, because we are an Amazon affiliate here on this YouTube channel. So if you click through the Amazon affiliate link and you go buy some crap off of Amazon, the easy way to explain it is if you do that, you click through to Amazon, you buy the stuff at Amazon you're going to buy, we get the advertising commission, right? Basically, we did a commercial, you clicked on a link, we get a small kickback as towards it. Now, you guys will notice that I typically advertise a women's vibrator on this stream because, and some people might need to understand the explanation as to why I do it. First and foremost, it's because the female orgasm is not a myth. And you probably have to be 40 or 50 years old to even understand when I mention that. But also on the other side is that fuck prudes. And prudes can just stay the fuck away from my channel because I'm just not interested in talking to them via YouTube. If you ever pay for me to go to a convention, I'll talk to you in person if that's what you really want to talk about, your prudish needs. But I'm probably not going to a convention ever again, not for fear of getting shot. I just don't want to spend the money to make some YouTube videos where you guys get to watch them. I'm not interested unless somebody else is going to pay for it. And I mean, to me, even me saying that sounds like me being a dick. It's just, I don't want to shell out the thousands of dollars for me to go on a vacation where I have to run around and film things, come home, edit things, be jet lagged, and I have to spend a lot of money to do it. I'm not interested in doing it again at this point. I'm just not. Unless somebody's paying for it, then I'll do it. But you got to pay me to do it. How about that? Catch me outside, right? As they say. I got a t-shirt for a Swedish politician from a lady in our block after they changed our voting system to where we can choose who we want to be our personal choice out of every active politician. I'm saving it to my deathbed in case it will be worth anything for the later generations. I never cared for the politician on that shirt. Oh. I mean, I assume that at some point in my life I've been gifted or ran into a political shirt or something, some swag giveaway or something. So for me to say that I've never owned, I would never make that statement because, I mean, maybe I owned a Bush shirt as a joke at some point. I don't know. I can't think of it, but it certainly could have happened. To circle back to shirts, to circle back to funny shirt stories. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this before, but like the losing Super Bowl team, to tie into our earlier Super Bowl conversation and shirts, the losing Super Bowl team has all of this swag made that they won the Super Bowl.
It's long before.
Well, yeah, you can't make it in 15 minutes between winning the Super Bowl and then having to put the shirts on, or 15 seconds. So they make swag for all of the football teams, or, you know, the whole football team, their families, everyone who works in the stadium, blah, blah, blah. They make a shitload of gear. Well, after the Super Bowl, somebody documents the plane that takes the Super Bowl winning clothing. It's just a plane full of hats and shirts and socks and whatever they have, and they just fly it to Africa and give it away as a charitable donation to Africans. So every once in a while, you'll see, you know, a picture of like, hey, who are these kids in Africa, and what the fuck? Why do they think the Eagles won Super Bowl 41 or whatever, right? That is always funny to me. That's always funny to me. And you know, I feel like it's a decent charitable thing to do. My expectation in the United States is that they would just burn it all, right? Like, this is why we can't have nice things. Put it in the incinerator. So I'm glad it's, you know, I'm sure it's a tax write-off, so that's why they do it. But still, seems like it's nice. And it's funny to see inaccurate Super Bowl winning clothing every once in a while.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me a friend request.
Ooh. Who likes you?
Probably a bot. Get out of here. I'm involved in a couple of Discord servers that they do not monitor the bots at all. So I occasionally get bot requests from being on those servers. It's just like whatever bot is sending it out to everyone on the server. Like, we should be friends.
No, we shouldn't. Fuck off.
Yeah, but realistically, like I said, if you guys want to understand, like a really good viewpoint is, and I mentioned this last week, is the Necessary Conversation on YouTube, and I'd have to go find it.
Explain your Cascadia Underground flag too before you finish up.
What's that?
Said you should explain your Cascadia Underground flag too before you finish up.
Nobody mentioned my Cascadia flag.
I did just now.
You did.
I thought you were going to bring it up. So I was just waiting.
You did, but you're a criminal. We can't trust you. If you guys, especially if you're outside the United States, but especially if you're outside the United States, I would love for some of y'all to watch a couple episodes of The Necessary Conversation, because it's Chad McClutchin and his sister, and they're essentially talking to their parents, who are like deeply MAGA freaks, right? And just trying to get through to them. And I want to know, I guess if I had a request, my request would be like, if you are somewhere overseas, like, how often do you encounter people like the McClutchin's parents? Like, how often is that somebody that you encounter? And is it sort of a Western culture, like, generational thing? Or is it a unique thing to the United States? Because I would say, in my personal experience, in my personal experience and my lengthy knowings of peoples, it does feel like an exclusively generational thing, that like at a certain age point, I guess you can't teach an old dog new tricks, or you can't teach an old dog new methodology of being able to understand how the media is manipulating you into a certain dark hole. And like this week's necessary conversation was very interesting because the McClutchan's parents are supposedly devout Christians, and he kept asking her about the quote from the Bible that essentially says that, what is the quote from the Bible? I don't want to misread it. I don't want to misquote. I don't want to misquote this thing. In Leviticus 19:34, to treat the foreigners as your own. And where is the actual full verse? The full verse is, when a foreigner resides among you and in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord, your God. But he consistently goes over this quote with his mother, where she continually interjects, yeah, but are they foreign? Are they legal? Are they this? Do they have their documents? Did they have this? Do they have that? And he's like, no, this says, do not mistreat them. Your foreigner residing among you must be treated as native born. Love them as yourself, right? Like, this doesn't seem to like mince words with what you're supposed to be doing if you're a Christian. If you're supposedly a Christian, you're self-identifying, like, check me out, guys, I'm a Christian. I'm not. I never needed somebody to write this down for me. I never needed somebody to specifically write this down for me. I treat people the way that I want to be treated. Simple as that. Like, and I get all of the connotations around it. Like, without, I don't need a 4,000 page dissertation on, but what do you mean? Treat others like you want to be treated. What? What do you mean? Yeah, but what if, right? Like, I don't need all that. I personally do not need all that.
You're smart enough to figure that shit out on your own.
Yeah,
somehow?
I mean, to have a conscience, to have empathy, to have compassion, like, I didn't need a 4,000 page dissertation whenever I had a question to be able to refer to Leviticus 19:5. Ooh, it told me what to do. Okay, this is what I gotta do now. So, I don't know. And, people have a tendency to get mad when I make fun of their religion. Tough. Go pound sand, because your religion says you're supposed to be able to take it on the chin. It says so. It says so in your religious books and your religious doctrine that you supposedly believe in. That it says you're supposed to be cool with anybody questioning you at any time. It just shouldn't matter. So if you can't be cool with it, then I don't know. Go back to church and ask them about it. Don't bother me. The best is Angry Samoans will screen print their band name over other band tour shirts. The Angry Samoans? I had a Clay Aitken Angry Samoans shirt. I've never heard the Angry Samoans. You know what? The thing is, I would look it up and play a track and see if they were any good, but we immediately get a copyright. We don't get a copyright strike. We get a copyright claim. They're two different things. And it's not so much like the 15 cents I make from doing the live stream. I don't really care about that. It's that I get 15 fucking notifications about it. And like, are you going to do something? Are you going to edit it out? Do you want us to edit it out? Do you want us to use AI to edit it out? Do you want to write a dissertation, a 4,000 page dissertation to the Angry Samoans about how it's fair use and all this fucking bullshit? Like, that's why I don't want to play it. I would typically, if I was like hosting a show like I am right now, I would just want to play the clip, right? But like I said, the bigger problem has to do with the fact that they're going to send me 9,000 fucking notifications about it, as probably they're required by some court filing or something somewhere. And I don't want to get all of those notifications. I'm going to be honest with you. And I also don't want to turn off notifications completely because I do want to know. I do want to be notified of a notification. Right? So, you know.
Notified, huh? You want to be in the know at all times? It might be something important.
And you want me to talk about my Cascadia flag?
I do. You should tell people.
I don't think I should tell people. They should just go look it up. But I think Cascadia will probably happen within the next decade. I think.
Oh, all right. How much of the...
I think, well, like I've said this before, I think ultimately the United States itself will look more like the EU in the next 20 years.
Right.
And that it will be like, you know, this area, that area, this area, that area. But like, yeah, but we're all working together. You know, it's all good. Sort of. But yeah, you know. I think realistically that's what will end up happening. The direction that we're headed in right now as a country is crash and burn. And when you're on a crash and burn trajectory, something comes from the aftermath, right?
Right.
You know, a plane crashes into the ground, right? 200 people die. Somebody will rebuild the system that caused that plane to crash, right? Whether it was air traffic control's fault, whether it was an aileron failing, whether it was a software program that doesn't work accurately, something comes from the crash and burn. And currently the United States is 100% on the trajectory of crashing and burning. Even just from the standpoint of our crippling debt, right? I think it's what, 30, I don't even know.
34, 35?
34 or 39 or something. Current U.S. debt is approximately 37.88 trillion.
Jesus.
Yeah. This total public debt consists of about 30 trillion held by the public and approximately 7.57 trillion in intragovernmental debt. The national debt increases when the federal government spends more than it collects in revenue, leading to a budget deficit. Yeah, I mean, just even in the, I'm saying like we're headed to a crash and burn because we have like a brain rotted fucking maniac at the wheel right now. And we do not have a sane thinking group of people that are currently in charge of fiduciary responsibility.
Yeah.
And at some point, if you default on a sum of money like 37 trillion, right? That creates a giant tidal wave, a fucking tsunami, if you will, of, you know, international governments all around the world just falling apart, you know?
Yeah. It's a domino effect because we've
well,
been
it's
the
like right
standard
now, you know, Donald Trump tweeted some bullshit out about starting more of a trade war with China again, and we dropped 1.5 trillion off of the Dow.
Yeah. But hey, it's just fake money, right? And gold was going crazy last week. Silver was going
people
crazy
are
last
investing.
week.
People are investing in gold because they want to. They are hoping for some kind of stability. But this is one of the weird things that I had encountered recently is that, so the top 10 the top 10 companies in the Dow Jones, the largest companies by market cap right now, which is, oh, this is weird. Hold on. Weird list. So you have Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, Caterpillar, Home Depot, United Health Group, Visa, Sherwin-Williams, American Express, JP Morgan, McDonald's, Amgen, Apple, Amazon, Boeing, Johnson & Johnson, NVIDIA. These guys keep giving me the top performing, but I want the top.
Profiting?
It's the top 10. Okay, this is top gainers. They keep doing this. Hold on.
Okay. Wow. Meowing. What?
I gotta find this because there was basically 10 companies that are holding up the Dow Jones right now.
Oh, okay.
Intel, IBM, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, NVIDIA, like JP Morgan. Like JP Morgan doesn't even make anything, right? Like they're just a financial institution. If their incredible portfolio of shorts falls apart, right?
Right.
Like all of a sudden, one of the biggest companies holding up the stock market just disappears, right? And I can't find it. I found it the other day. There's basically 10 companies, and they're all like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, like all of these companies that are deep, Meta, they're all deeply invested in the idea that, well, if we invest all of this money into AI, like, don't worry, we'll be at the forefront, right? So
Right.
don't worry, we'll make trillions of dollars. But like, if at some point like AI proves itself to be not worthy of that, trillions of dollars invested into it, then what happens, right? The top 10 companies suddenly drop off, and all of a sudden it creates a tidal wave of a collapse. Like that's not going to be good. But realistically, like when it comes to the United States, I mean, I'm still of the opinion, maybe 20 years is too long, or maybe 20 years is too short. But I think ultimately the United States will end up looking like the EU, realistically. I mean, there's a different direction that this country could have gone in. If Hillary Clinton had gotten elected instead of Donald Trump, I would probably be pretty pissed off at stupid shit that the government is doing, sure. But I really doubt that the outlook would be the same, like in a profound way.
We would have stayed.
Yeah,
You think?
but like, I haven't read all of Project 2025. Like, hold me accountable to that. I've read enough of Project 2025 to see that they are implementing it now, and that plan is to destroy the United States as you know it.
Yep.
And a lot of people voted for that. And I didn't, because I don't think an authoritarian dictatorship is beneficial to anybody except for the dictator. But yeah, I mean, we're wholeheartedly headed in that direction at this point. you know, the Ronald Reagan administration was just as bad as the guys that are in there now.
Just more low key about it.
No, it's just that at the time, it was too difficult to do what they're doing now. There wasn't a fully corrupt Supreme Court, right? There wasn't a ruling that said, oh, the president is just immune because he's the president, right?
And technology didn't make it easy enough to get everything out instantly.
I mean, that's part of it. I mean, technology is, in fact, part of it from the standpoint of, like, how quickly things can move, right?
Right.
You know, the dumber part is that he's signing all these executive orders, but the executive orders don't have a function of implementing them, right?
Right.
That's ultimately that's their biggest problem right now, is that they're disorganized and not not good at their jobs, right? So it's like,
there's no fault.
yeah, you know, the thing is that, like, you pass an executive order that says DEI should be eliminated from the country, and then somebody just goes in their computer and just starts deleting shit. That's Control F, highlight, find DEI, delete that, right?
Right.
And then they have to go back and, like, reinstitute programs that never went anywhere. It's just now a computer is malfunctioning on the other end, right? Because the computer at the program is no longer communicating with the computer over there, right? So then it's just like, well, it's an IT problem. It's like, well, no, it's not an IT problem. It's like you have an idiot at the controls problem, you know?
Right.
And so I think that's their biggest issue right now, is like, you pass an executive order that says delete all the DEI, but then who's in charge of that? What group of people are going to implement it? Who's going to audit it and make sure that they're doing it correctly or incorrectly or doing it at all, right? We don't have that. What's the punishment if you aren't doing it? And who implements that punishment, right? Like, if you start putting DEI back into Seattle federal building or whatever, right? Like whatever Washington state federal buildings, who's going to investigate? Who's going to implement a punishment, right? Like, what court are you going in front of? Like, and if you go to court, like, is it 3 months in jail? Is it 6 months in jail? Is it federal prison? What are we doing? And they're not doing any of that because that's work, and none of them want to do work, right?
Right. Just opposed.
Yeah. And so, like, I think realistically what's going to happen, I think if I had to give you, like, some kind of premonition or, like, write a story or something about what I think is going to happen, I mean, the loose outline would be these guys fumble around. They make people so mad. They do all this stupid shit where they spend $50,000 hiring a bunch of fake ICE agents that don't have a uniform on. They're not driving a marked car. They don't identify themselves. They don't have badge numbers. They don't have any rules. They're just running around doing shit, falling down. We saw in Chicago where the guys came out from the state patrol with batons and just started hitting people in the ass with their batons because they suddenly decided that these people can't be near the road anymore, right? And eventually some violence is going to erupt, right? It's going to happen. I'm not encouraging it. I'm in fact responding to fucking direct messages that people are sending me that they're going to karate kick an ICE member or whatever, and I'm like, do not do that. That is not the objective. That is not our goal. That is not anything that anybody wants, except for the Trump administration. They want that because they want to put trigger happy people on the ground. Because if you suddenly have like a Chicago riots of the past where the labor riots were happening and you send out officers and they shoot a bunch of Americans, then you have a revolt on your hand, right? And And then if you have a revolt on your hand and you're a dumb person like Donald Trump, you suddenly think, oh, well, we'll just take over the country with the military. When
Here's the
every single
insurrection.
when every single military leader in the world is like, you need at least 100 times more soldiers to try and take military control of the United States. Not only is it huge geographically, we are huge in population. You suddenly need to try and control 340 million people. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? We couldn't even control Afghanistan with our military.
Yep. And the
20
help of
years
lots
of blowing people up in Afghanistan, and we couldn't figure out how to even get control over that country. Like, let alone you want to suddenly try to get control over the United States? It's not going to happen. But if you wanted me to continue my fake outline here, is that fighting will start. Then you'll start getting a sort of groundswell of uprising to stand against it. They'll tear gas, they'll shoot people, they'll do this, they'll do that, until they continue to vilify people and attempt to have a military control of something. And people will just make a decision that this area will not allow that to happen.
Right.
And for anybody out there that assumes, if you're a MAGA freak and you're wearing a stupid MAGA hat and shit, and you think that our United States military is suddenly going to start shooting our citizens, you are sorely mistaken, my friend. I deal with military guys all the time. Veterans, active duty. I have a bunch of friends that are in active duty. And to even broach the idea that they would suddenly come on the ground level in the United States and start levying their weapons at Americans is just so far out of pocket. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, that's their reaction. They're like, I'm not fucking doing that shit.
For which
And you got to remember, and you have to remember that our military is voluntary, right? Like, no one was conscripted into our military. Like, there is no overlord of punishment hanging over their heads that says, go commit murders. The fuck are you talking about? Like, and eventually, I think what I think will end up happening, and I don't, like I said, I'm not like a truth sayer or anything like that, but there are geographic regions in this country that will end up seceding from each other. Not only do I think that's probably going to happen, it has happened before.
Yep.
It has happened in this country before. And that's why I say, I'm like, I think realistically the United States will end up looking like the EU, and there will be a bunch of whatever territories or whatever you want to call it, a bunch of little countries within one big, like, collaborative area that will all argue with each other all the time about every fucking thing, which, like, the EU does now. Right?
Right.
To the point where somebody like Texas will Brexit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it gonna be Brexit, or is it gonna be that Canada and or Mexico end up inheriting some territory that they weren't expecting?
Well, I don't know about all that, to be honest with you. I don't know. But what I do know is that there will be some areas like, Oklahoma won't Brexit with Texas,
Right.
But Oklahoma also is like currently half owned by natives. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if y'all know that, but the natives were granted their clemency.
Their land.
They have like half of Tulsa, right? Like, his native land now. So that's something that you would definitely have to take into consideration, right? Like, if you're Oklahoma and you want to secede with Texas, it's like, well, now the natives are going to take their half of the state for sure.
And happy Indigenous Day, by the way.
What's that?
Also, and happy Indigenous Day, by the way.
Oh, that's Columbus. It's Columbus Indigenous Day today, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm saying that, like, you know, from the standpoint of like kind of what I see future-wise, it would be something along those lines.
Well, and I'm wondering if it will be political that pushes it, and how much of it is going to end up being climate change that pushes it, because I see a lot, because of the way this country just simply is weather.
I know.
And
I mean,
climate.
to be honest with you, I don't think climate change is going to drive any of it.
You don't think so, huh?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think
I don't. And here's my reason.
Okay, go for it.
Israel has been deleting the people of Gaza for 2 years now in Palestine, right?
Yep.
What happened?
Nothing.
Yeah. That's why. Because climate change isn't going to hit the United States the same way as it hits India, right? Like, what's India going to do? You know? And what will ultimately end up happening is that, like, the powers that be, when it comes to the United States. Now, I'm not claiming to know what other countries are going to do, but if history teaches me anything about the United States, is that the United States will simply ignore the plight of those people.
Yeah.
And that, you know, it doesn't, you know, the thing is, whether they ignore it or not, it doesn't mean that they suddenly can afford plane tickets to fly to the United States. Right. I mean, that's why I always say, like, you know, one of the most racist fucking things that you can say is be somebody like Charlie Kirk and sit down on your fucking podcast funded by billionaires, right? And talk about how Chinese, Indian, and African immigrants come to the United States and succeed where the other immigrants don't, right? Because there's a confounding factor there that they just happily leave off, is that you have to fly across a fucking ocean to get here, right? Which means you go on an airplane that has to go through the TSA. So you need to pay for not only the airplane ride, but you also need to pay for all of the documents that will let you through the airport to just get out of the airport. So if you're talking about the immigrants that like come from India or China or Nigeria, they bring up all the time. Yeah. These are wealthy immigrants. And as we know, if you're wealthy in the United States, you automatically get a leg up.
Wealthy
right?
Equals welcome.
You will have better health care. You will have better schooling to go to. You will have better transportation. You will have better access to a tutor if you need one. You'll have ability to just go to college just because you have the money to just go. You don't need to work two part-time jobs to try and fucking stay alive and eat top ramen for 6 or 7 years while you try to struggle your way to get through a bachelor's degree, which, by the way, I personally didn't have the fortitude to do it. I didn't. You know? I didn't have the fortitude to like fight my way through college while,
and for,
you know, well, I mean, I was living in a day and age where the Iraq War was a real thing. You know, the Iraq War was a real thing. That was a thing that was happening when I was making a decision at those times, right? You know, I was 21 years old when. It was 2001, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I was 21 years old when 9/11 happened, right? That'll start to change some of your perspective on the world. When George W. Bush was the most unpopular president of all time. Now only eclipsed by fucking Donald Trump, by the way.
Yeah.
And then suddenly everybody was kumbaya, kumbaya, we all must come together because of the Twin Towers, right? And they implemented some of the most destructive programs into the United States with the excuse that 9/11 happened. And at that time, like the turmoil was pretty high then too, right? And to me, it didn't at the time. It didn't seem of value to continue and get a bachelor's degree or go on to a master's degree and continue to fight my way through, being poor in that way. And I have a ton of friends that went to college, they got their degrees, they became lawyers and this and that and the other thing. And they're much more financially stable than I am right now. So it did work out to their favor to go do that. But I would also argue that those guys all got paid to go to school, basically. Like their room and board was paid for, their books were paid for, their classes, their tuition was paid for, all that stuff. They had different parents than I did. We grew up near each other and I knew them the entirety of my life, but we had different parents. Just is what it is. And I would say one of the biggest factors is, like I'm one of the few kids whose parents did get divorced from where I grew up. Last year I got hired to do a job from somebody's parents that I grew up knowing their kid, and they're still together, right? But they're also the second marriage, right? So they've been together like fucking 40 years or whatever now, but they're also the second marriage. But they did never get the divorce. Like I was in, freshman year or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a terrible time for your parents to get a divorce, just from the standpoint of like the financial stability of moving forward, right? Both your parents are paying two rent/mortgages as opposed to one, and combining their forces to move forward, right? It's just simple fucking economics, right? And both of my parents were blue collar, right? It's like my parents weren't financial investors or lawyers or whatever, so yeah, so it's just like it's kind of one of those things, right? Hard to give somebody advice nowadays when you don't really know what's coming in the future, but also in 2001 we didn't know what was coming in the future, and now here we are 24 years later, right?
Right, and it's even more questionable now because the call is coming from inside the house, so to speak. Right.
But the call's coming from inside the house with already the stuff that's implemented 24 years ago, 23 years ago, right?
Yep.
And those systems being in place this whole time,
Yeah.
So, I've mentioned it before, and I'll mention it again here at the end because I gotta go here in a minute. But there was a what does this do? There's a highlight button over here. There was a point where somebody was like, "Oh, are you worried about speaking out?" And I'm like, "Not particularly, because I'll just get hit by a drone or something, And I really don't. I don't want to die. I want to live to be 100 years old or whatever. But I just don't fear it from the standpoint of like, if they're gonna eliminate me, they already are going to, because there's at least 23 years or 24 years of the Patriot Act knowing that I dissent, right?
Right.
I'm sure they've known for decades now that this guy is like fucking doesn't give a shit for American imperialism, right? But on that note, I'll see you later.